All right, to our first conversation now, we're looking at other commodities, and this time, cassava is both a cash crop and a key raw material for feed and food, such as noodles, and a substitute for wheat flour. In 2025, cassava prices have dropped by 33% to as low as 80,000 naira per ton, from about 120,000 naira. Let's bringing Tomiwa Jowolena as an analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Hello, Tomiwa.
Good afternoon, Ladi. Thank you for having me.
All right, so, tell me, what's driving the price down? Most of the time we're used to most of these commodity prices, being on the rise. What do you think is driving this decline for cassava there? Are we seeing dynamic play between demand and supply? What are you seeing?
Yes, Ladi, definitely. When it comes to price, there's always the dynamic interplay of demand and supply. In this case specifically, we are seeing a fall in demand for cassava, and that is why our prices have come down. So, as you earlier said, cassava is used as a raw material for feed, for food, and is mainly used in the manufacturing industry. Pharmaceutical companies particularly use cassava starch. That's starch made from cassava to make their products. So what we are seeing in recent times is that there's been an increase in the import of starch into the country, especially corn starch. So we're seeing pharmaceutical companies and manufacturing companies shift their demand from locally produced cassava starch to imported corn starch. So that is leading to a decrease in the demand for cassava, and so we're having an increased supply because most of the locally starch manufacturers from cassava in Nigeria were expecting a sustainable level of demand, and now, basically because of actually there's been a removal in the import duty for corn starch. So corn starch is now cheaper to import into Nigeria, and so manufacturing companies, instead of using cassava starch for their products, are using corn starch, and that's leading to a fall in the demand for cassava. So we've seen prices drop about 3% just in the last 5 to 6 months in cassava.
Right, and what are you seeing in that cassava value chain in Nigeria? We know the agricultural side, we have risk there, and also in the manufacturing side.
Yes, so typically in situations like this, when we want to bolster the cassava value chain, because what we're seeing now is a fall in prices, which is actually detrimental for cassava farmers and even cassava processors who have put in a lot of money to start up this cultivation, expecting increased demand while there is low demand. So one way we can do this obviously is to look at be more involved in a greater value chain in the cassava value chain. So instead of just having farmers just produce the cassava and then sell, instead of processors just buying cassava and processing it, we want to see an integrated value chain where as you are producing the cassava, you are also processing it. And it's not only just starch. There are many derived products of cassava. There's cassava flour. We have cassava chips. So to reduce your risk to a particular derived product, you want to see a more integrated value chain where instead of just farming cassava, yes, you are farming cassava, you are processing cassava into several other products. Cassava is also used for ethanol. So there are many derived products, and we are seeing an increasing demand not only in Nigeria, even globally. So we can start exporting cassava, but we need to first make sure that the value is improved and not just staying at the raw material frame. So when we have farmers that are producing cassava and processing it, or we have processors who are involved in the backward integration where they have cassava farms, then you begin to not only focus on one part of the value chain, but you'll be able to spread your operations across the value chain and get more value.
All right, so we know cassava is a key feedstock for ethanol, biofuel. We see Nigeria's, we have that strategy for energy diversification. Is there potential to build some kind of robust maybe cassava to ethanol sector, to boost energy supply?
Yes, so funny enough, Nigeria is, if not the largest cassava, one of the top global cassava producers. And we've seen that cassava is actually a key ingredient that can be used to get ethanol, which is another source of energy. It's even a clean biofuel energy. And this, given the level of energy deficiency in the country, especially in the rural areas also where there's access to electricity is lower. If you have industries or plants that are set up and have the right capacity to process cassava to ethanol, that will be able to sort out that problem. One, you're increasing the energy. Two, we're diversifying energy instead of relying on just gas or hydro. And then three, most important is that you're aligning more with a cleaner energy cleaner energy source. So that way you'll be able to solve 3 problems with just one. And it doesn't take much. We just need to have focused policies that are in place that enable investors or entrepreneurs to be able to play in that space, because that's processing cassava to ethanol is one way to increase the energy supply in the country.
All right, Tomowa, thank you so much for giving us that update there on what's playing out with the cassava prices in the global market. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.